If you knew who was really behind Bitcoin, you would run as fast as you fucking could to sell it. I know, 100%. If you knew who owned Bitcoin or who started Bitcoin, you had Bitcoin, you couldn't sleep at night. I know.
I have said publicly before that I think 99% of all crypto probably goes to zero.
You have a nice relationship with Satoshi.
I feel like I do.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a story to tell.
My humble opinion, and there's nothing humble about me, Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
I know this is going to sound crazy, but I think that there's something weird going on in crypto right now. I know people are going to label me a conspiracy theorist, or this video is just some FUD, or anything they can do, anything they could possibly say to deter from the fact that something odd is going on right now in Bitcoin and XRP. But at some point, you got to ask yourself, what the fuck is going on? There's too many questions, there's too many coincidences, and something is not right. So today we're going to go down the rabbit hole. Bitcoin, Epstein, Ethereum, XRP, and why one of the most hated, most ignored cryptos in this space might actually be the biggest threat to the financial system. This is all really spewing because Bitcoin's in a free fall right now. The Epstein files just came out, and there's a ton of weird things that are going on. And right now, crypto's in a full-blown panic mode. And the timing of this could not be any weirder. To start, Bitcoin is treated like a religion in this space. If you talk about crypto, you're talking mainly about Bitcoin. And they got all these buzzwords like 21 million in supply, digital gold, the store of value. But is it really? What does it actually do? I mean, to me, it's slow, it's expensive, it's fucking dog shit, and it doesn't solve a real world problem for the global financial system. But here's where it starts getting weird. A couple days ago, we got a massive batch of the Epstein files. Over 3 million files were released, and inside it is some of the most horrid shit I have ever read in my life. I mean, these people were truly fucking evil. But when the Epstein documents started coming out, you know what you saw absolutely everywhere? Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that, Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that. Not just in the headlines, no, in the actual Epstein files. You started seeing Bitcoin everywhere. Jeffrey Epstein reaching out to some of the Bitcoin founders, funding discussions, crypto conversations. Many people around Epstein had people tied to the Bitcoin people. There was a couple founders when it came to Bitcoin. One of the main that we obviously don't know about is Satoshi Nakamoto. There's a bunch of theories online of who the Bitcoin creator could be, and still to this day, it's one of the biggest mysteries in crypto. Not even just in crypto, in the world. I mean, we're talking about one of the richest people on this planet, and nobody knows who it is. I mean, supposedly, right? But aside that, there was also some other things in the email, and you guessed it, it was XRP. Now, what could possibly be going on with Epstein and XRP? Well, it was actually a completely different story. Whereas Epstein was really involved in the Bitcoin process, trying to get things up and running, XRP was a different story. He viewed them as an absolute threat. And a lot of the emails that came out, he was not pleased with Stellar or XRP. He actually fucking hated them. They appeared 17 times in the files, and all of them were negative. I mean, that's pretty weird, right? You got a company like Ripple who really is trying to solve a real world financial problem with global payments. And you got someone like Epstein who is a self-proclaimed trader. He's involved in Wall Street. He's got his own banking system of his own. Fucking hates them. I mean, that's pretty fucking weird, isn't it? Why would someone embedded in the elite financial system be threatened by XRP, but not Bitcoin? I mean, that's the genuine question everybody has right now. Why praise a thing like Bitcoin that does nothing to the banks, but hate on something that could actually fuck the whole system up for the banks, which is something like XRP? Now, this is where it starts to get extremely weird. Let's talk about Gary Gensler. Who is Gary Gensler? Well, he was the head of the SEC. He was a former MIT professor. He talked a lot about crypto, and above all, he had prior connections to, surprise, surprise, Epstein. And then out of nowhere, he becomes the head of the SEC. Now, when he becomes the head of the SEC, what does he do for 4 fucking years? Everybody gets a pass. Binance gets a pass. Bitcoin gets a pass. Ethereum gets a pass. There would be these initial, suits that were brought against these companies or these coins or these projects, but they would just magically, pretty much instantly go away. They never turned into anything big. There was one above all that was relentless for 4 fucking years, and that was XRP. It was one of the most expensive lawsuits in history. It was relentless. For the most part, absolutely baseless, and in my opinion, 100% an attack on Ripple and XRP. And in those 4 years, the price was suppressed beyond belief. I mean, we stepped, between 30 cents and 50 cents for 4 years straight. We were delisted everywhere. There was a lot of times where you couldn't even buy XRP. You couldn't even buy the shit because all of the exchanges took it away. Retail was absolutely destroyed, and people like like me and a lot of my people, we saw straight through this bullshit. And we were like, dude, something is going on right here. Why are they attacking Ripple so hard and nobody else? Remember, during Gary Gensler, things like FTX completely fucked crypto. They were allowed to happen even after people like Gary Gensler met with Sam Bankman-Fried many fucking times before. So ask yourself this: if XRP is so irrelevant and it's not a threat and it's just a shitcoin like everybody online says, why did they go after it that hard? But the story gets weird. I mentioned that XRP has been delisted everywhere. When the lawsuit happened, you couldn't really buy XRP in the beginning. Well, you know who Epstein was one of the biggest funders of? Yeah, that was Coinbase. He was one of the earliest investors in Coinbase. And what was the biggest exchange at the time and the first exchange to ditch XRP the second that the lawsuit happened? Yeah, that was Coinbase. Now, you could say coincidence. You could say that, oh, that's just, you know, them just trying to cover themselves or make sure that they're good in case something happens. But to me, that's extremely weird. You see, XRP isn't trying to be a digital gold. I mean, that term doesn't even make fucking sense. It's trying to be a financial instrument that I genuinely believe is going to change the world. Instant settlement. It's cheap as shit to send. If you've ever sent a wire or you've dealt with banks, you know there's a lot of fees built in. XRP has practically none. Pennies on the dollar. Cross-border payments in seconds. If you go to Africa, Dubai, there is no barriers to send your money to anybody. Banks do not fear Bitcoin. They fear replacement. And what could possibly replace the dinosaur banking system? I'll let you think of that for a second when it comes to payment. But XRP doesn't sit on the top of the financial system. It replaces the rails beneath it. It's a very different threat. And that's why I still to this day believe it is one of the most valuable cryptocurrencies in the space. You look at the top 10, it's all dog shit. There's only one coin with a real company and a real product behind it, and that is Ripple. Now, this is where things kind of take a very interesting turn in the story. Last year at the Bitcoin conference, XRP, Ripple, they gifted the Bitcoiners a giant fucking skull. Now, I saw this back then and I didn't think anything of it, but as the Epstein files are coming out and after all this stuff is happening, I'm putting these pieces together, it was a giant skull with devil eyes on it. I mean, I don't know what you read into that, but to me, that's like, what the fuck? Out of everything that could represent Bitcoin as a whole, you decide a skull with devil eyes. Suddenly, all of this stuff isn't starting to feel like a joke or a kind little thing towards the Bitcoin community. It kind of feels like a message to me. And not to mention some of these billionaires like Dan Pena, who were on interviews like publicly saying this shit years ago. I mean, that's pretty fucking crazy to say, right? Like, if you knew who the owner or the founder or the creator of Bitcoin was, you would sell your shit so quick, you'd be scared to hold it. And even now, right? Like one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin, Michael Saylor's strategy, right? On stage with Scottie Pippen, a basketball player, and Scottie Pippen says, I met the creator of Bitcoin in 1993. And Michael Saylor gives him like the what the fuck kind of look. It's pretty weird when you think about it. Now, here's the part that really makes me angry about this shit. Why is the media so silent on XRP, but everything else just gets the spotlight? I can't be the only one that's noticed this when it comes to the news, when it comes to media outlets, when it comes to social media. It seems like XRP is at the back end of everything. And stuff like Solana and Doge and ADA, some of these other coins that aren't even as popular, get pushed to the forefront. And it's kind of crazy because XRP has been top 10 for a fucking decade. Some of these coins are just a couple years old and they get more spotlight and they're less popular, even in terms of market cap. Look, you know, I get the Bitcoin narrative. Scarcity, you know, limited supply, all the buzzwords they could possibly use to trap you into this shit. But I don't see the intrinsic value of Bitcoin. I don't. And I think, honestly, right now, if you don't have a lot of money, you have no business buying fucking Bitcoin. Because, dude, even to 10x your money, this shit's gonna need to go to, $1 million. I mean, is that really something that a lot of people with not a lot of money can afford? I don't think so. But I do see one thing. I see the banking system as an absolute dinosaur. I see no value in a lot of these fucking coins. And I've been all over the world. I've seen people talk about XRP. I've seen use cases for XRP in places like Dubai. I can see a reality where this absolutely changes the world. And with everything going digital, including stuff like your ID, it really just makes sense. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's cleaner, and it's actually possible. That scares people, including the people in power. So no, I just want to be clear. I'm not saying Bitcoin's evil. I'm not even trying to insinuate that Epstein is the creator of Bitcoin, which is going around right now, and that's probably the reason why we've dumped tens of thousands of dollars. It is weird though. And look, I'm also not saying XRP is perfect, but I do think some of the narratives are bullshit. And at the end of this, I'm just saying you gotta question everything. And the fact that nobody wants to talk about XRP, that might be the biggest signal of all. So let me know what you think about this. Would you choose Bitcoin today, or are you choosing XRP? And if you're not following me on the Instagram, I post absolutely every single play. Right now, I do believe that we're we're at a lot of very good bottoms. Like these are very good buys at some of these coins, and including XRP. These are some prices that you're probably not going to see for a long time. So if you want all the plays I'm taking, be on the IG. Let me know what you think. Leave a like, subscribe. At 100,000 subscribers, we're only a couple thousand away. We're doing a massive giveaway. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video.